Here's how you can get this 49 vertical recoil M4 build for just around 150 to 170k, depending on flea market prices. Now, these stats are far from meta, but in terms of value for money, me at level 3 traders would only be able to get this same build for 284k right now. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to head on over to Mechanic, level 3, go to the Barters tab, look at the M4A1 LVOA, and grab this for 4 GP coins. Now, these GP coins go for around 25 to 35k, and you're going to want to wait around for ones that are under 30k to keep this build as cheap as possible. Okay, so I spent around 110k on these 4 GP coins, and now I'm going to grab this M4. Normally, I would go a little bit more grubby with it and sit there for a little longer to get that down to maybe 100k if you really want to do that. But this is what you're looking at for the price of around 100 to 120k, depending on GP coin prices. Usually I get it for around 100k. Now, there's a few reasons why this barter is so incredibly underrated. The absolute foremost in my mind being that the upper receiver is an MUR-1S, which is the best one available to my knowledge. Comparing the standard M4A1 upper receiver, we are looking at a vertical recoil of 93 without anything else on. With the TX15, you can get 1 less. With the 8R, you're getting 1 more. But with the MURS, which you're getting with this barter, you are looking at -4 vertical recoil on that. So that is a big plus for the value of this barter. Another nice thing is the fact that it comes with a Raptor, which is going to give you a big boost in ergo, as well as the fact that it comes with this handguard, which is far from the best one, but it is a pretty solid handguard at 2% recoil reduction and 10 ergonomics. Now, it does come with the standard 370mm AR-15 barrel, and if you compare the other barrels here, now that I've taken off the gas tube and the muzzle brake, if you did have the 406, you'd be looking at 1 less vertical, and if you had the 18-inch, you'd be looking at 3 less vertical, but these are both very expensive. So to keep this very, very cheap, we are going to stick with the 370mm. Another big plus to this build is it comes stock with the QDC 556, and again, if we were going more meta, you could chuck on a G-Lock and the M4 SDK, or if you want to go even further into the, meta hole, spending 1,000,000 rubles for 1 build, you could throw on Thor. But we are going to take advantage of the fact that this has the QDC on already, as the QDC muzzle brake NT4 combo are not the best suppressor, obviously, but they are better than quite a lot of the other options, maybe even the best one other than those 2 aforementioned ones. So now we're sitting at 54 vert, which is still a long ways off where we're going to get to. So the next cheeky thing we're going to do here is chuck on the ATP tube in replacement of this carbine tube. This is going to give us -2 vertical recoil again, and this ATP tube, if you have level 3 traders, is only 5k, I believe. Yeah, 5k. Now the ATP's on there, chuck the E-mod stock back on, which is the one that already came with the barter, which is already a pretty good stock. You could go again and get 1 less recoil without spending too many rubles with the DS150 at probably, 8 or 9k rubles for one of those. And obviously a PRS Gen 3 would do even better. But for our goal of remaining semi-budget here and keeping this build down to 150k, we are going to keep the E-mod on there, head on over to the foregrip slot, and there's a few options here. The absolute cheapest for stats value is going to be the RK5 or one of the RVG foregrips, and if you really want to save a few rubles, you can do that, but I love the aesthetics of the AFG black, so I'm going to throw that on there, which is going to give me a few extra 1,000 rubles that I'm going to need to pay, but it is what it is. I like the looks. So there's only 2 more parts to this build, and that is adding on the 553, which is my hollow sight of choice. It's a little bit cheaper than the other hollow sights, but if you really want to get budget with it, you can go for the EKP and save maybe another 8 or 10k rubles. But like I said, I'm going to go with the 553. And again, depending on GP coin prices, if you really want to keep this down to 150k rubles, obviously you can cut a couple of these corners like I'm talking about, but even with this, I should be able to get this at 150 or 160k rubles. So you can see we're spending 62k right here to get all of the remaining parts for this build. And now that we have it assembled, I'm going to head back on here. So again, we are a little bit over the 150k rubles mark that I talked about previously, but we're going to make a little bit of that money back here by selling back these 3 rails, as I'm not going to run a laser on this build, but you can if you want to, and just chuck back on one of these CAS rails. Heading on over to mechanic and selling the parts back that we did not use, we are going to make back 3k rubles, which again, not a huge buyback. And again, I am probably sitting at around 160k rubles still with the slightly higher price GP coins that I bought. But again, like I said, if you want to be super sure of that 150k mark, you can go slightly cheaper on the site, like I said, and you can also go slightly cheaper on the foregrip, like I said. And on top of that, you can sit there and really grub it out and spend all your time sitting here just waiting for that super cheap GP coin that is at around 25k rubles. And that is usually what I do. You can see these are pretty expensive right now. We're looking at 33k, but pretty commonly I see them at 25k, which again is what allows this build to be 150k. So you have now just built a pretty sexy looking M4 build with under 50 vertical recoil and pretty good stats otherwise.